so we're excited to have you back. Yay.
Thanks. I know it's been so long, you guys, girls.
I
You
forgot we
know,
were on happy hour because I feel like we're just hanging out with you, Judy.
I know. And last time we did it, it was just at Scaling New Heights last year. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, I just feel like we were just sitting in those chairs chatting.
Yeah, totally. It's
and
always
you've
awesome
got
to
a
have you.
lot of updates, and you've had some changes within your firm, like sold it. So
I did.
I've been bragging about you. So today I probably will ask you a few questions about it because I know our community is dying to hear why that was so successful. And a lot of that has to do with Client Hub.
It really does. It's funny because my firm went through so many different changes over the 24 years that I had it. I think it was 24. I can't believe it was that long ago. And it was a small firm, and then I scaled up and then scaled back down and scaled up and down. So, even though I had staff, I always thought of myself kind of as a smaller sole practitioner. I never thought of that I was building something to sell, right? My husband always used to say, "You are your business." So I thought for sure that when I was ready to hang it up, that I would just, flip open the sign to closed and maybe just introduce my clients to, other people within the profession. I never thought of it as a saleable product. And it wasn't until probably the last 3 or 4 years that I realized that I was building a business model to sell. It wasn't just about the revenue that we were generating. I was building a business model that so many others in the profession really wanted. And so that's really what it was about, that somebody wanted to kind of buy the secret sauce to Judy's firm.
What's incredible is while at Accounting Web, Sharon Fuller was teaching a class, and she was going through her experience as well, what it was like to sell her firm, what were some tips that now after the fact that she wanted to share with our community. And one of the things that she talked about was making sure that you have workflow in place and making sure that you had some type of piece that if you removed yourself, the actions would still continue on. And that is exactly what you did. And so inside the class, we actually threw out your name and also Client Hub, because the group was like, well, how do we do that too? And so there was a lot of chatter about Judy and what did she create and Client Hub. And so I said, stay tuned, come back for happy hour, because I think that a lot of curiosity was piqued about exactly how could that be repeated for other firms.
It is. I mean, and I'm surprised, I work with accounting firms day in and day out, and I'm baffled to see how many firms, again, all the information for me was up in my head, how I did all the client work. And I started slowly, putting it into documentation, but that documentation ended up being scattered in different locations. We had different versions of that information. And then I had staff that was doing work their way instead of my way. So it wasn't a repeatable process that we could follow through with all clients that we were bringing on board. The other thing, of course, which isn't even related to Client Hub, is that we probably in the past 7 years of my practice, I became really, really picky about the clients that I took. And every one of my clients that I brought on board, number one, if price was an issue, they weren't a right fit for us. If we got off to the wrong start as far as communication and the transfer of information, it wasn't a right fit. If we had to, continuously, hunt them down and seek them out for information and send repetitive requests, they weren't a good fit for us. So every client was on a 90-day probation with our firm, and we reevaluated both the service, whether or not they were going to be a client. And oftentimes we often reevaluated the pricing as well, which you have to do because sometimes you don't know what you're getting into until you get into it.
I really like that suggestion because it does speak to what we do. So oftentimes, we start in an engagement and find some nuances that weren't mentioned previously. And there's more to the work to be reoccurring and successful.
Absolutely. And the other thing is too, and I don't know how many times I wanted to kick myself in the butt for this, after the fact is you get really excited because you're bringing on this great new client and it's going to be a great, client. You're going to bill them a lot of money. And then things just kind of get off on the wrong foot. And I would always say to myself, oh, it will get better. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I learned just to, I had to go with my gut instinct. I really had to start going with my gut instinct. And you know what? If they were late for the first meeting, they're going to be late for every meeting. And if they didn't show up or canceled last minute, that's going to be the trend. And again, those aren't the kind of clients that I had time for, that I had the patience. There were so many great clients out there. And I have to say now, I think I'm almost 7 months into sale. I miss them. It's like I almost want to go back and just like start it all over again.
I have to laugh. Because you reached an ultimate goal from so many people, but knowing you're one of those that's very busy. I think that a lot of people on this call are the same way. Activity is what we need in order to have, brain exercises.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
you have lots of other things that are going on, and you are very much from our industry, and you created a tool for our industry. And I want to make sure that we share what you have created. And then I also want to go back because previously you were on and we talked about Client Hub, but you've added to it. So workflows are now a piece of Client Hub that I think is genius. I think it's brilliant to have both your communication with your client and then also the workflow in one solution. And I'm just dying to see it. Really.
Awesome. I'm dying to show. By the way, I do want to welcome, I do see, I'm looking at the list of attendees here. We got a really good group, but I want to welcome Will Montgomery. Hey, Will. Will is our new strategic account rep here at Client Hub. He's going to be with us at Scaling New Heights. So stop by if anybody's going to be attending Scaling New Heights. Make sure you stop by and introduce yourselves to Will.
I just promoted him to a panelist, so maybe he'll join us.
Oh, no.
Is that bad?
He's not officially on the payroll yet, but he can. He can.
Well, I don't have to. I actually didn't actually pick. I thought I clicked the button, but I didn't.
No,
so
he's in the research phases here of the product.
Well, hi, Will. Welcome.
And we'll get to meet the two of you in person as well.
You got it.
Awesome. Excellent.
So you want to share the deck?
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So yes. So today's happy hour, how to turn chaos into calm with Client Hub. Yes, please. I'd like to sign up. No, definitely. So you guys know us. For those of you that don't know us, my name is Heather Satterley. I'm the Chief Innovation Officer of Growth Lab Finance Service. I actually just was acquired. So my firm has been acquired by Growth Lab, and I'm really excited to join their amazing. So yeah, really exciting. So yeah, I founded Happy Hour with Liz. Liz, you get to tell the rest of the story. I'm just going to set it up for you to tell all of that.
Oh, well, just like with Judy, Happy Hour was very organic for us. We felt this need while Heather and I were on tour, and we were at that time, doing road shows and meeting a lot of our companions from our industry. And we heard repeatedly, which apps do you choose? How do you connect them? What's the best practices? And Heather and I would geek out, sometimes at 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning and be like, oh my gosh, look at what we did. And, of course we would tell our families and they're excited for us, but they could care less. They don't, but
they nod, smile.
Yeah,
they nod and smile like, yes, that's a wonderful, Mom.
Yeah, it's just not the same as going, oh my gosh, look at what we just did. I'm feeling genius today.
And Judy, you're one of us. Like you are it's so perfect for you to be here because you're one of us. Like
Well,
you're
yeah,
right in our little special club of geeky, um, you know, like amazing, powerful women accountants that love technology.
I knew
And
Liz when she was just starting to become a geek.
So back in the early geeksdom days, I came up to you and we had a conversation, and it was HubDoc was actually just getting introduced to our community. And you have written the book, for those that don't know, Judy, she's written the book, How to Guide for Bill.com. And but anyway, so we were talking about that, and I was saying we should get Bill.com and HubDoc to talk to each other in QBO. And then it wasn't long after that that I did several different webinars on that very, very topic. And here we are. So our voice does matter in our community. Solutions matter.
Absolutely.
100%. So that brings us into, I went backwards there. I'm going to go forward now. Real quick, big thank you to our Champagne level sponsor, Ignition. We're super excited to be partnering with them this year in a lot of different ways. We will definitely be together again at Scaling New Heights, which is just coming up in just about a month. So that's exciting.
You know, the
And
other thing that I'll share with Practice Ignition is that we're creating, I said practice, ignition, sorry. With Ignition is that we're creating some videos based off of the templates, because there's desire on how do you use these templates that are really for starting off those client engagements. So look for
Definitely.
those videos that are coming out very, very soon.
Yes.
I wish we had all these great tools when I started.
But it's because of all of the enthusiasm for tech that these tools now exist.
It's true. It's true. And you know, Judy, so Judy is the co-founder of Client Hub. She's had firms. We talked about her firm that she sold, but you know, you had this idea for this tool based on being a practice owner, and then you created it.
Yeah,
So
I didn't write
wow.
the code. I didn't write the code. I had a
No,
lot of talented help.
yeah, but I mean it's amazing to see that come to fruition. And so I have the utmost respect for you and admiration.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you.
Well, is there
Alright.
anything else that you want to share with the community? I mean, I've been bragging about your book and your firm sells, but I know that there's so much more to Judy's life. Is there something else you want to share?
Yeah, so there's not 2 dogs, 4 cats, and a husband right in the other room. So that's about it.
Awesome.
But no, I'm excited to really, talk about Client Hub and again, looking at the list of participants here, it's great to see everybody. And
It is.
we have a lot of, previous users of our platform. We have a lot of people that I know have trialed it before. So hopefully one of the things with tech, and you both know this, is if you look at it today, it's going to be different tomorrow. Any good tech. So Client Hub is a very fast forward development company. We're continuously adding lots of great new features and value to the product. So again, if you haven't looked at us in a while, take a look at us again.
I like the way that you set up that expectation for change, because we have to pivot and we have to be able to be responsive to our environment, which is changing constantly.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, unlike, you'll have companies like Intuit, a great company, and they do build features based on a very small sampling of feedback and input from their customers. But 100% of what we do here at Client Hub, as far as building new features, all come from our user base and the community. So even people that aren't users of the product, we take notes at every single sales meeting. Those notes are passed on to our product and our engineering team. And as we're looking at the product roadmap, we're going to build what the community needs. We're not building it for Judy or, Fabian or whoever, or for Will. We're building it for you guys, especially now that I'm not using it anymore. So, well, I'm using it, but not in my practice.
Well, and this welcome slide really says a lot right here, because one of the things that we struggle with is being able to have workflow and communication in one space. So logging out of our workflow tool, currently we're using ClickUp. And then for client communication, we're using Slack. So those are 2 different systems. we have Zapier that's in between. So now we have 3 different systems in order to be able to manage. And that gets to be, it has its challenges. So I recognize the genius in having all of those pieces inside of one solution.
And and that's not even a bad scenario, Liz. I'm talking to firms here that have clients that are, they're communicating to individual user inboxes. Some people are communicating via text to, the bookkeeper's personal phone. I've even had firms that tell me that clients are reaching out to them through Facebook Messenger. And how many times have you said, oh, I know a client sent me something, where is it? And if you've got to go and check in 3 or 4 different places, how much time is that taking? Not to mention, just a really quick story. A couple of years ago, I got subpoenaed for all my electronic communications that I had between another firm that I was working with. And it took me and my team a full day to gather all that information and put it together for the attorneys. And because we were subpoenaed, we didn't get compensated for our time. It was a complete total waste. And so that was one of the things that was before Client Hub. So I'm thinking to myself, if we had had this platform and I knew that every single piece of communication was all in a collaborative workspace, I could have found everything I needed in one spot.
So you make me wonder, because right now I'm I'm migrating from Gmail over to Microsoft, but one of the challenges that sometimes we face in the Gmail environment is storage inside of email. So if we upgrade, because we're in a G Suite is what they called it at the time, so now it's workspace, but inside of the workspace, we can't upgrade just one email at a time. We have to upgrade everyone, which can get quite expensive whenever you're dealing with size. Is there a size capacity inside of Client Hub?
Absolutely not. Yeah. So, we're not in the business of selling space, right? And so if we were in the business of selling space, like, Google, then I guess we would want to go ahead and charge more. But no, so we're not going to archive your client communications as long as the account is active. We're not going to archive or delete any of your files in our system or any of your workflows. So we're going to retain all of your history.
That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, because that's one of the challenges that we're facing right now.
Sure. Yeah, I understand that one.
In fact, one of the accounts can't even open up Google Documents. It's like, nope, you've hit the max. So
No.
yeah, that's annoying. So Heather, you want to slide over to the next?
I sure do.
Thanks.
Yeah. So introducing Client Hub again, for those of you who have never heard of, if you're that person on the face of the earth that hasn't heard about us, although I'm surprised, people come to us and say, we've never heard of Client Hub. I'm like, I just don't know how people can't have not heard of us. But anyway, we are a client communication and collaboration system. So really what's important about that is we're taking all of your communications out of email, out of text messaging, out of Facebook Messenger or Twitter, everything. We're bringing it into a collaborative workspace between you and your clients and your team. And one of the best things about it is it's all secure. So unlike email, as much as we'd like to think email is secure, guess what? It's not. Slack is not secure. And so we bring all that information into that collaborative workspace. And just stepping back, by the way, Liz, when I sold my practice, I was actually able to transfer all of my client workspaces from Client Hub from my account to the buyer's account. So he had all that historic data, which was golden. Again, that's why kind of selling that model was terrific.
So that's more than just the documents, because I want to stop on that one for a second, because you're saying the communication was also something that could be transferred, which I don't think that there's very many mergers or acquisitions that can be said, because you've now got all of the communication on what to do with this. Maybe vendor, are they a 1099? I'm just pulling out some of the things that, historically we sometimes go back and look to see what did we do last year?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Golden. All of the files, all of the client communications, all of the client task history, the internal workflow. So it was this is one of the reasons why I talked about earlier about selling a model or building a model to sell, because again, not only did that buyer buy, a revenue generating engine, but they bought this whole model, and it was as simple as just passing the baton, reassigning the work that I did to that new owner, and then continuing on with the process. And, I'm not afraid to say this, accounting and bookkeeping firms, go for about 1x annual revenue. And when I listed my company for 1.5 with the broker, they told me I'd never get it. And I sold it for 1.7.
Oh, that's like huge success.
It is. It is. And I had,
Sweat that goes into getting a client reoccurring. There's a lot of effort that it takes to get there. So being able to be rewarded for all of that effort, sometimes it's years of effort. Congratulations.
thanks. It was, again, I just was reaching for this guy, and I'm never shy. So I had to go out there and put it out there. And yeah, I had 17 offers within the first 18 hours. And again, it was all about, putting it out there and what you're selling. So that was enough about me. I was just kind of talking about, really how putting this model together. So Client Hub is also that automated internal workflow. I'm going to go, actually, we've got slides here, but I'll go ahead and do an actual product demo, a live product demo. We have secure file sharing. We have a really cool integration, which I forgot to go ahead and get set up here, with QuickBooks Online for solving for uncategorized expense transactions, and also a mobile app, because we know clients aren't all sitting in front of a computer like we are. And so the ability for clients to respond to us and to reach out to us when they're on the go was really, really critical.
Absolutely. Well, and being able to understand that where they're at is sometimes on their phone, but yet at the same time, you need to be able to keep all of the communication inside of a database that everyone can access.
Exactly. And oops, I just went ahead. Sorry, I just logged out of my demo. I'm logging back into that. It was critical too, because when communications are siloed, I was at a conference once, and I was speaking at a conference, and what happened was, I was traveling on a Monday. I was traveling East Coast to West Coast. And I was traveling, and then I was rushing to the hotel to go and speak, and a client reached out because they had made an error in payroll. And by the time I got a chance to look at my email, it was too late for me to go ahead and help them resolve that error. It was a critical, yeah. And so, the thing about it is, back then, if we had had Client Hub, they could have posted it right into the workspace. Anybody else on my team would have been able to see that email, and they would have been able to respond and resolve that situation. But because it came to my individual inbox, it just didn't work out that way.
Well, and I'm the worst. I'm always the slowest one to respond. So it's better when everything is shared with the team. Heather, will you advance to the next slide?
Of course I will.
I don't remember what the next slide is. Oh yeah, so here, we'll go ahead. And so this slide is just really talks about, like, in your firm, what are your challenges? I know our biggest challenge was getting answers from clients. It was like, I just felt like everybody's mother or their wife, right? I had to say, how many times do you have to remind them, hey, I need this, I need this, I need this. And so that was one of our biggest pain points, which was the first thing that we wanted to make sure that we solved with Client Hub. We did that in the very beginning, and then we automated the process through our internal workflow. And then, we were looking for a better way to keep our work organized. We used it at the beginning. We had one of those big whiteboard calendars on the wall, and each team was assigned a client, and they had a different color marker. And that worked out really well until I hired somebody that was colorblind. But that wasn't a way to organize our work. And so, not only was getting information from clients really critical, but also the havoc it plays on your workflow. Like, okay, I'm going to sit down today and I'm going to do the reconciliations for client A, because I know I need to deliver them financials on Friday. And to go in and realize I don't have everything I need from that client. So now I've got to stop what I'm doing, go back. I've got to get hold of the client, wait for them to get me the stuff I need. That just creates havoc, and your work gets backed up. I talked
Absolutely.
about, and I talked about communications being scattered amongst multiple channels. That I just knew was a nightmare. Very rarely did I allow clients to text me. We had a few clients that would text, but I kind of put the kibosh on that pretty quickly. And then the final part was like knowing, what is my staff doing? Like, what is the status of, did they respond to that client? Or, what is the status of the work that they're working on, especially anything related to, if I had follow-up tasks as well. So I'm sure that everybody out there has at least one of these challenges, if not more than one.
Oh, sure. I think the one that we face most often is the document. So the reoccurring list of, we need these things monthly. That's a huge challenge, I think, for most firms. And the other piece is onboarding. There's such a heavy amount of tasks that are required in the onboarding phase that it's easy for things to get missed if there's not a good checklist that exists.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that. But sometimes that checklist needs to be revised. So let's go ahead and do it. Are we ready to raise a glass?
Yes.
Already?
Yes, because we have good stuff to share. And look at this. My drink has Client Hub on the front of this because it was a gift from Judy.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, I got Cheers. Cheers.
For a gift from you, Judy. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this tastes so good.
Mm-hmm.
It makes my Tuesday feel even more like Friday.
Well, you know what? I made this earlier and I didn't know if I would run out, so I have backups over here to the left.
That's great. And then I think the recipe is on the next slide, Heather.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh yeah.
Well, you made me a fan of mules. So there is something truly about, I don't know, you guys hear that if you're drinking out of copper cups, you might agree. There's something about the copper mug, that it really does add a bit of a flavor to it and an experience. And I'm an experienced person.
I think it does. I think it does. Everybody knows what you're drinking when you're drinking out of a copper mug.
It's true.
Yeah.
You're just cool. It's cool.
And so last time I was here, it was around the holidays. So we had I think it was like
cranberry.
Mary Mule.
Yep, it had cranberries in it. It was really
cranberries
good.
and apples, yeah. So I thought we would do a revised version of that.
So at this point, I almost wonder, Judy, would you want to drive the deck and really even because there's slides that you've got that are demo, and then you were also talking about doing the demo. So would it be easier for you to?
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull the deck up. I don't have the deck open, but I'll open it up and get to where we want to go. And so, like I said, I want to do live demo because everybody likes a live demo better, right? But let me go ahead. There's a few things I'll share with you, and I'm not even going to go into presenter mode with the deck.
But the deck is available for everyone to download once the recording is up, probably tomorrow.
And can one of you give me the ability to screen share?
Oh, of course. Yes.
And I'll probably jump around a little bit. Awesome.
There you go.
Cool.
Awesome.
And I can hide you. Excellent. So we are a SaaS or a web-based application. I know you guys all know where SaaS is. So we're a web-based application, as I mentioned, available by both browser, and we also have that mobile app, which is available for both iOS and Android. Now, our mobile app is a light version of Client Hub. It doesn't have all the features. We haven't figured out how to fit them all on a little screen yet, but we will. But really what we are is, the mobile app is designed to, again, help your clients stay connected with you when they're on the go, so they can communicate with you through conversations as well as respond to your client tasks. And the other thing that's really important, if we look at the screen, kind of take a mental picture, is this the screenshot here in the background is actually the subscriber or the accountant view of the client workspace. I know how important it is to make sure that that we know what our client experience is going to be. So the first thing we do when we go into software is we test and we add ourselves as a client to say, oh, what does a client see? So the cool thing is with Client Hub, we actually made the client view. Oops, that's not the client view, sorry. It's supposed to be the client view. Is this the one? I think I added the wrong screenshot. Here we go. We made the client view almost identical to the accountant view as far as the client workspace goes. So, again, they're going to see if they have multiple workspaces, they're going to see those on that left-hand side. They're going to have those three the panels there for communications as well as access to their file manager. So it looks very similar to the accountant view. The other thing to note is you'll notice in the top left-hand corner that you do have the ability to go ahead and brand the web version of Client Hub with your firm logo, as well as adding links to your website and your social media. One thing I don't talk about very often, if you look way down in the lower right-hand corner, and you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Cool, okay. It just doesn't have that little green thing around it. Is that the clients can go ahead and click on links to leave you reviews on your review site. So if you're a Xero or QuickBooks Pro Advisor, or your Google or your LinkedIn site, which is kind of cool. So again, I said I was going to go ahead and jump around a little bit. I talked about our mobile app. One of the things that I think is really important before I jump in here is talking about notifications. So when I get into Client Hub and I start talking about the activity within the product, we know it's really important that we go ahead and let people know that there was something happening in Client Hub, because everybody's not sitting there staring at it all day like you and I might be. So we do notify users in several different ways. Number one is, of course, email. We send those out about at a 15-minute delay so that we can pick up any activity within like that 15-minute time period. So if you send multiple messages or upload multiple files for a client, we don't want them to get one email for each thing that you do. Mobile push notifications as well. Those are going to be on that mobile app. So if there's activity, the clients do get those instant notifications. They click on them and it does open the Client Hub mobile app. We also have web push notifications. You're probably familiar with those if you have Facebook or your email. Just whenever there's something happens, those pop up in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Those can be enabled as well. And then we do have in-product notifications. So if you turn off email and everything else and you just want to go ahead and see what's new within the product, you can check on those in-product notifications. So let me go ahead and jump into the product. And excuse me, I have to take a sip of my drink because it's really good.
Well, you know, one of the things that's catching my attention is over on the side where it says links. So you've got apps.
Mhm.
So do you mind sharing exactly what the experience is? And did you say that this is what your client would see, or are we now looking at what a team member might see?
So both. So we're looking at the workspace for Polly's Pet Spa here. This is the accountant or the subscriber view. The way we know that is because it does display the Client Hub logo in the upper left-hand corner, and it also has the 4 tabs at the top of the page. Quickly, I'll just drag over the client view. And again, you'll see pretty close. My client's just getting ready to send me a message here. So this is what my client sees. Again, very, very similar. I'm going to pop that out of there. But what it is these links on the right-hand side, which are not the biggest. I mean, these are the smallest of features for us. These are simply just shortcuts. But it's a way to keep the clients engaged with the web version of the workspace. Also, and it was funny because I had a client that needed information on a bill one day, and she called me up and she said, "Hey, I need to know if this bill got paid." And I said, you know how to get into bill.com to see. And she goes, "I don't know how to get to bill.com." And I was like, it's like, that's the URL. Like, just type in bill.com, you can get there. So, we wanted a couple things. Number one, we wanted to make it easy for our clients to access their technology, because we didn't want Client Hub to be another place they had to go, right? We wanted it to be the starting point of everything that they needed to work with their firm. The other thing was, I have to admit that there were some situations where I couldn't remember what technologies we used with a client. So, if I had to call and say, hey, you didn't upload these things to HubDoc, I didn't want to call them and say, what's HubDoc? So this kind of showed me what tech we're using as well. These are simply just shortcuts. We click on that link. Of course, if I've got a login or I'm using something like LastPass, it will go ahead and, of course, I'm already logged in this space, but it would log me in to that, or it will just bring me to the login page for that application. And that is fully customizable. So, we do have a library of the most common apps, but you can add links to anything. So I always add a link to my Calendly account so that clients know, hey, if we're going to go ahead and schedule a meeting with Judy, we just click on that link. They don't have to go and have a back and forth conversation, you know, to try to coordinate a time.
I love that.
But also their other technology, remember, we want to keep them engaged. So if they're an e-commerce client and they're using Square or Shopify, put the link to those other technologies so that this can be the first place that they go to access everything. But let's jump into the real meaty features, the things that really make a difference in Client Hub. And those are going to be on the client side. As I mentioned, I've got 4 tabs here at the very top. By the way, just above that, you'll notice I've got some tags. That's a brand new feature for those of you that haven't looked at Client Hub for a while. We now have the ability to tag both our client workspaces and our jobs, which we'll get into, giving us the ability to do some filters so I can actually filter my client list by specific types of clients. But I'm going to start here with the client task feature because that is my absolute favorite. So this is solved for that issue of gathering information, either sending reminders or getting information from clients. And so we just simply do that by creating a client task. And remember, when we create anything here in Client Hub, it sends a notification to the client. Again, if it's email or on the mobile, they just click on the associated link. It will bring them right back into their workspace. So to create a client task, we go ahead. I just happen to have one here. So I'm going to go ahead. I just happen to have a template. So yes, cool. We have template features. So I go ahead and I type my message into the right-hand box. And then at the bottom here, I would go ahead and choose the type of response I'm requesting from my client. You'll notice the preview in the right-hand side. So this is the client, exactly what they're going to see. They're going to have a little checkbox to mark as done. I can ask a yes or no question. I can request files from my clients. It could be open text, or my all-time favorite was accept decline. That was just the way I got, acknowledgement from my clients when I asked them to do something, or I sent them information. If you're doing your client work, you can, add multiple tasks at once before you click that send and notify button. We also have an auto remind feature, also AKA auto harass. So it wasn't my fault, it's the software, where you can go ahead and create these client tasks and go ahead and turn on that auto remind feature. Tell Client Hub how many days you want us to wait before we start sending a very gentle early morning reminder to the client. Now that morning reminder that comes out, unlike the regular emails, which actually have the detail of what's happened, is these reminders are just, they're a generic message, just letting the client know that they have open items with a link for them to come back into Client Hub. Now, the other thing I like to share is that, giving clients another place to have to log into. I think the biggest barrier to adoption of any platform for anybody is having to log in all the time. Imagine how many hours a day we spend logging into everything we have to do. So a couple of things we've done here with Client Hub is we actually cache the login credentials in the browser. What that means is if I go ahead and I just close out of that browser in Client Hub, when I go back to either a link in an email, or I go to a link in an email, or I go to my shortcut, it auto logs me in because those credentials are cached within the browser. Now, if you don't want that to happen, especially within your firm, if you're worried about security, we do have the ability to go ahead and log out. And we do have, which again, another feature is we do have the ability to enable two-factor authentication. So lots of great security features. Again, if you're the only one using the computer and the browser and you lock you sign out of your computer, it shouldn't be an issue. So client tasks, again, are how we're going to gather information from the clients. So again, I'm going to go ahead and just create one here. Let's say I went ahead and I created some monthly financials for my client. I went ahead and I created that task. When the client responds to the task, the status will change to answered. You can see that Polly just went ahead and answered this. And all this information is kept with an audit trail. So we can actually see who created the task and when it was responded to and by whom. I loved that because there were many times when I had clients say, oh, I sent that to you a week ago. I was like, yeah, you're full of crap. You did not.
It's right there where everybody can see it. Yeah, I like that. I like that feature inside of QuickBooks Online too. Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
The other thing too, if the client has comments, they can add additional comments and we can have a whole conversation around this one specific item. Once I'm satisfied with that answer, I can go ahead and close out that item. When I come back to this workspace later on, so I'll go back to that workspace, that closed item is going to get moved off the open tab into the closed tab. And we do have a search capability. It's actually at the top of the conversation. So if you ever had to look that up, you could either go look at the closed tasks, or you can go ahead into the search capability.
So one question is, how would you share, a handwritten check image? How would you share that with a client?
How would my client share it with me?
Well, say that you were doing the bookkeeping for that client, not you anymore. So a different accounting firm maybe was doing the bookkeeping and had a question about a particular transaction and maybe took a screenshot.
Mhm.
What would be the best way to communicate that with the client?
Yeah, so you could go ahead here and create a client task, type in the message, tell me what this check is for, attach that image right here. So you can attach the image to the client task and then make it an open task type where the client can respond to you.
Nice. I missed that select file.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and send those files as well. Now, because we're collecting files and we're probably sending files to clients, any files that get sent through the client workspace are going to be collected within our file manager here. And so this is where you can share files with your clients. Clients can also upload. So if you're doing a cleanup job and you need 12 months worth of bank statements, rather than having the client upload them to a task, you could create a folder here and the client can just come over here and upload those files in bulk. And again, we get notifications for all the activity. So if the client uploads files, you're going to get notified. If you upload files, the client will get notified. Yeah, and then you can take those things that come in through those channels within the workspace and you can organize them into the folders as well. So now this turns into your secure file repository for everything that you need to share with your clients. Next time a client needs a copy of those 1099s from 2 years ago, or 3 months ago financial reports or the 1231 balance sheet, they're not going to come to you asking for it because they know everything's right here within their Client Hub workspace.
So I have a question. Looking at the folder and the documents here and asking the question earlier about the storage capacity and size, have you, or I guess, not any longer, but do you recommend that Client Hub is the place where documents is stored, or do you also have a lot of users who are still using their other document storage solutions?
So as a firm, we keep all of our source documents or we have in the past kept all of our source documents in our main document management solution. Everything that we were sharing with clients, we would go ahead and upload here. So I think of this more as the place that we're putting things for clients to have access to, and also organizing the things that clients send me. Because if they send me bank statements, I don't need to download those to my DMS. I'm never going to, once I go ahead and reconcile, I'm not going to use those bank statements again. If I need them, they're here on Client Hub.
Got it. So then the other piece of this would be how do you get the files into those folders? Or is it drag and drop? Like I see the recent files over on the side, but how did the resources get inside of?
Yeah, you can
folders?
just drag and drop multiples.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you copy? Oh, I have a question too. Can you
Sure.
copy the folder template to each client?
Not currently, but that's a really great feature request. And remember, we're open to feature requests. So
Awesome.
I like that. Currently, we don't have that capability.
I wonder if that would be a Zapier thing.
It could be. Well, yeah. Yeah. I need more people to submit that feature suggestion for a Zapier integration. It's getting closer to the top of the list. It was my number one.
It was your number one? Yeah.
It was my number one. Yeah.
That's funny.
So, so the other cool thing I want to show you about Client Task is our integration with Quickbooks Online. It's designed to get information about uncategorized expense transactions from our client. The trigger in this is going to be the account that you choose. So I chose this Ask Client account. I'll just go ahead and put something here. So you just do a simple setup, and then you're going to choose an account that you want us to monitor for new transactions. That's an expensive phone bill. And then of course, I'm adding this manually because this is a test account. It's not connected to the bank feeds, but you could add these from the bank feeds. They could also be things that come in from like HubDoc or Dext. So if a client uploads a receipt and you don't know what it is, but what it does is with our integration, it actually creates one of these special. So we got this brand new transaction down here. It's a special transaction client task that comes in, and we extract the data from that transaction in QuickBooks Online. And QuickBooks is being really good these days. So these things come in like instantly. So the client is, they're presented with the option to go ahead and select from the pull down the accounts from their QuickBooks Online chart of accounts and then submit their responses. So I know a lot of people say, I don't want my client choosing an account. Of course, you can just, tell your clients, hey, just post a comment in here. But I believe that, let clients give it a try. If they get it wrong, we can go ahead and click reopen and it erases their response and we can go ahead and have a conversation. But the cool thing is if I go ahead and say, great, AT&T, telephone expense, I'm good with that. I'm going to close this. If I go back over to QuickBooks and find that transaction again.
No. Is this getting ready to happen?
Really?
Yes.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Wow.
So, no more of that like month end spreadsheet of uncategorized expense transactions. Like you can just go and add them to the bank feeds and let the clients deal with them in real time. The other cool thing that I did, because Amazon was our biggest nemesis, we had clients that would, I swear their business was just shopping on Amazon. So what we did is we went in and set up bank rules. So anything with Amazon in the, any expenses with Amazon in the bank detail line automatically got added to that account. And so every day when the bank feeds updated, it automatically triggered these client tasks. So the cool thing about that was my clients can remember what they bought from Amazon a day or two ago. But if I wait till the end of the month, it's going to take them forever to get that spreadsheet back to me. So that is,
and it keeps them out of QuickBooks.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Is it currently just a one account per transaction?
It's at the line item level. So it is, yes,
okay.
yeah. So, but remember, if the client, if they said this was 50% telephone and 50%,
got it.
I don't know, fixed asset, we bought a new phone, maybe they can go ahead and add that information in the comments. And then go ahead. And the other thing, which I always forget to do, is in each one of these, there is a link within the slider on the right hand side, and all they have to do, I forget to do this, click on that link and it brings you right to that transaction. So if you had to do a split or add, some other information, you could do that. I should use that in my demos. I always forget to do that.
You've got a whole lot of wows.
You did.
Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, people really like that feature.
Awesome. So I know we only have a few minutes, but I want to jump into, I'll just show you just really quickly. So conversations, I mean, it's messaging, right? Clients need something from you, or they have a question, they can come right into the conversations. You can respond. Our reply feature now allows you to go ahead and, you choose that reply option. It copies the original message down with your response, so eliminates a lot of confusion. And then the other piece here is our resource center, which, thanks, Will. Our resource center is where you can share things with clients, maybe things that they need periodically, like training materials or how-to articles. Like we added a resource, how to reconnect your bank accounts in QuickBooks Online, right? Because clients, they'd always disconnect and we'd have to ask the clients to do that. Or links to forms, so new hire forms if you do a lot of payroll. And we do in our resource center, in our global library, we have we have some Client Hub training materials here that you can share with your clients so they can learn how to use the features. It's not hard, it's really simple, but still, helps them to understand that. But let me jump into what really excites me, which is our internal workflow. Thank you. I should have shut off my.
I was just getting ready to ask. I was like, oh, but let's see workflow.
Workflow, yeah. So workflow, of course, is our internal work. And we have a couple different ways that we can look at our internal work. We can look at it at the client level, which I'm looking at right now. This is my work just for Polly's Pet Spa. I've got, a reconcile job, bookkeeping, payroll, monthly sales tax reporting. You'll notice that each one of these is a different job, and it could have a different, it repeats in different times. It could have different due dates. But a job is simply, if I click on the link, if I click on the card here, I can see the tasks associated with this job. So I make sure, again, if this is something assigned to somebody on my team, I want to make sure that everything gets done in the right order. It gets done the way I want it to get done. Over on the right-hand side, as I toggle through these tasks, you'll see instructions over on the right-hand side on how to perform that task. You've got full abilities to edit these. You can add client-specific information. But the really, really cool thing here, and I'm going to go to a different job, is the ability for us to think back to Workspace, automate the creation of client tasks. So this is a reconcile job, right? Before I can do a reconciliation, I need to get those statements from my client if I don't have access to their bank account. And so what used to happen, again, is we would either assume the client would upload them to Dropbox, or they would proactively send them to us. So, sorry, because that never happened. But what we can do now is we can add client tasks as a draft. So just like we can in the Workspace, but we're going to add them as a draft to the job. And then we can turn on this autopilot feature here and tell Client Hub X number of days prior to the start of this job. So before I'm ready to start this job, automatically create these client tasks and notify my client. And then we can monitor the response of those right here from both within the job and within the job card. So I can see, this, I'm still waiting on one statement here from a client. This one was automatically published on May 3rd. So this client's in trouble because they're late at getting that to me. So just the ability to automate the creation of that information. And you can do that for things like reconcile. I used to do, for my bookkeeping jobs, I would have to remind clients to upload their bills to bill.com and send their receipts to Dext, and enter your sales transactions for last week. And if we just repetitively do that, every time we have to do the job, and it happens in advance, you'd be amazed at how quickly clients get into that habit, and now they're waiting for those tasks. Back to selling my firm, by the way, the new owner of my firm was really amazed to find out that I think it was February, we had our final transition call. It was February 12th, and he said to me, I had everything I needed from every one of your clients by the 4th of the month. He said, because they were so used to getting us all that month-end information. He said it was the 12th, he's still waiting on all of his clients. So they really do, once we get them into a routine, they just get so used to getting that information to you. But as I mentioned, so this is looking at work at the client level. I talked about having tags at the client level. We can also have tags related to our jobs. And I'm going to show you how that comes into play. So my favorite way to look at Client Hub is actually from the jobs dashboard. So if I go ahead to my jobs dashboard, now I can see all of my work across all clients. I can see the status of that work, one nice page view. I can click on those jobs. I can see, if this is a job coming up. I see I've got a client task not yet published. It's going to get published in a couple days. I can see my work in progress and on hold. I have filter options here. So I can go ahead, and if I want to see the work across everybody on my team, or maybe the work for just specific team members. And now with our tagging feature is I also have the option, I'm going to go ahead and I can do, let's say I just want to look at my sales tax jobs. Today's like the 17th of the month. Sales tax is due in a couple days. Let's make sure we finished all of that sales tax work. And if not, I can filter my dashboard to just see my sales tax work. So this is one that we didn't have when I was using Client Hub in my firm. I really wish, because I can't tell you how many nights I woke up and on the 20th and thought, oh crap, I forgot to file sales tax because I just had so much work on my dashboard. So lots of great opportunities here. We do have, for those of you, and I'm looking for, we do also have another fairly new feature, which allows us to go ahead. I should have set this up better. So we can now go ahead and assign jobs by task groups. So for instance, this job is assigned to me. Once I go ahead and I complete my tasks, you'll notice that the next group of tasks is assigned to Billy. I'm automatically prompted to go ahead and reassign that job to Billy. This will now appear on Billy's jobs dashboard, and he'll also receive notification both by email and in his little bell icon here. These, by the way, these little, and I don't have any active ones, sorry, but if you click on one of these notifications, it just brings you to whatever that notification relates to. And so, just a really great source of, you've got your client collaboration, you've got your internal workflow, you've got the automation of client tasks. And then the other cool thing, going kind of back to the very beginning, is that let's say a client comes into Client Hub, and people always say, can clients create tasks for me? I'm like, my clients create enough work for me already, but they do need to go ahead and send requests to us. So you'll notice this very first message here where the client said, hey, can you send me an up-to-date open invoice report by Friday? I don't want to forget to do that, or maybe I need to assign it to somebody else on my staff. So I can come right over to the right-hand side and click create a job. This will take a minute to load. So I'm going to go ahead and just refresh quickly. But you'll notice it will bring me right into my internal workspace. And now I've got a job created from a client message. It brings that message right in here. I can go ahead and assign this to somebody else on my team. I could add maybe some additional tasks, add that due date of Friday for it, and maybe mark it urgent. So I'm never going to forget to do something that a client asked me to do, and I don't have to worry about going back and looking at emails. And then let's see what else. Finally, not finally, because there's so much good stuff here. But one of the things to kind of point out is that we do have templates for all of our internal workflow jobs. So you can create your own templates and go ahead and add them to a client workspace. But if you're just starting out new, or you don't have, documented processes, we've got some really great job templates already in here for you.
Well, and I can attest that you're somebody who has really great templates and designed workflow. I'm going to say there's so much ask here. Can we go ahead and launch the poll?
I was just thinking the same thing. We have the same brain, Liz. I was just going to be like, I don't want to interrupt, but I really want to launch the poll. So I'm going to do that right now. We have so much buzz in here. People are loving this, Judy.
Well, thank you.
Loving this.
Well done. And you can definitely tell that this is designed from somebody inside of our industry.
Totally.
Who gets the nuances of it.
Well, I have to give credit where credit is due. I've got the most fantastic team on the face of this earth. Our product team, our engineers and designers, they do such a great job.
So we have a bunch of questions.
Sure.
I don't know. We're right at the top of the hour. So do you mind if while we're doing this, if I go ahead and have you answer some of these questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Kim's question was, is it customizable for the clients who not work on their files? And yes, the answer is you can remove those icons from that area. So if they don't use QuickBooks, they wouldn't see it. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Sorry. Absolutely. So each one of those workspaces is customizable. So Polly's Pet Spa might have a different group of apps than Polly's Turtle Farm. Yep.
Awesome. And then how are passwords managed?
So we are not a password management solution. So most people using our product are using things like LastPass or Zoho Vault. Although I have to tell you that for us, if we are looking, so for instance, my client Shopify login, I need to have that accessible for my team so they can log in. I can add that in my client notes. Better yet, put it in the details to your job. So I would just go ahead and copy this information right into my bookkeeping job so that, when they needed to enter sales transactions, they've got that information right there.
Gotcha. Can you choose multiple contacts per client?
Absolutely, yes. So you can invite as many people into the workspace as you want. Note that the workspace is collaborative. And so everybody who has access to that workspace will have access to everything in that workspace.
Awesome.
Now, with that said, you'll notice that I do have 2 different workspaces here for Polly's Pet Spa. So you can actually, if you have a client that you do like personal and business work, or maybe you need to keep the HR information separate, you can go ahead and create separate workspaces. And then the client, you can add client users can have access to multiple workspaces with a single login.
Awesome.
Nice.
And then where would you keep reports or documents that you do not want in the client shared folder?
Those can
And
go
I'm going
into
to end the poll. So if you haven't voted and you want to vote, I'm going to be sending you honestly, you win, Judy. I think you actually have the highest yes response we've ever had in the history of Appy Hour.
Cool. Will,
Yeah.
you better get ready. You're gonna have to follow up on these. So yeah, internal folders. So the internal folders here, you'll notice that those has a little lock. So if you have things that you want to just share with your team, but you don't want the clients to have access to, you can put those right in there.
Nice.
Awesome. Let's see. What about Word or Excel docs? Can you edit within the browser? I would guess that would be yes, right? Because if you click the link, would it just open up in like Word?
Online.
Not currently.
No?
We're working
Okay.
on our integration with Microsoft right now. I had to sign all the legal documentation, but yeah, we're working on that integration. So I think we'll see that
Perfect.
later on this year.
And then what is your scheduled class for Scaling New Heights? What are you teaching at Scaling New Heights?
I am not teaching anything at Scaling New Heights this year. I think it's only the second year I haven't spoken at Scaling New Heights, but I do welcome everybody to stop by the booth. And so stop and see me. We'll be doing some webinars following up with Scaling. So definitely check into that. So yeah, I'm kind of bummed out. I didn't submit to speak this year, but it's kind of good because I'm just really, really busy. But next
I
year.
agree. Sometimes that's kind of like a congratulations.
Yeah.
Because then you really get to enjoy the people and
Yeah,
people.
exactly. You know,
I
usually I'm
agree.
doing like 2 or 3 sessions at Scaling. So to not have to be
Right.
running back and forth is going to be kind of cool this year.
I feel that way too. I'm only teaching, well, I'm teaching one session and then I'm helping in another. But I mean, there was one year that Liz and we both taught, I think 5 sessions.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah,
don't know,
it
but
was
I didn't get a
crazy.
chance to enjoy my friends. And so again, this year I'm really light. I think I have 1 session that I'm involved in and a second one that's being considered. So
Yeah.
Last question for you is Carrie wants to know, is there a way to make a job from an external email?
There is not, with the exception of just going ahead and creating a job and copying that email
Gotcha.
in there as a task. So Client Hub, think of Client Hub as a big secure bubble. And so we don't integrate with email because email is the bad thing. It's the thing that's not secure. We do send in notifications out through email, but we don't integrate and bring information in from email. But you can do that. And again, remember, most likely if you're getting your clients to use Client Hub as a client collaboration, everything's going to be right here within the product. And you know, you don't have to worry about email anymore.
well, it's got a very nice user interface. So it's easy to digest and move around. So I think the adoption rate for our clients would be really, really high.
Absolutely. And you know, one of the things I didn't jump into, but within our workflow, we actually use the features in our product to walk you through how to use Client Hub. And we do that with, in our templates, we have some global templates called Getting Started. We tell you to add those to a sample client and we walk you through, you know, preparing your client onboarding strategy, getting your clients on board. These are really, really great jobs that just walk you right through the process of getting started.
Wow.
Well, I'm so glad that you came back on because since the last time that you were on, you have added a tremendous amount of features, and workflow is something that's new to Appy Hour since the last time that you were on. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing, and congratulations to selling your firm and having such a success.
Thank you. And I just get so much more time to spend here on Client Hub and working with firms. And of course, what would it be if we didn't come in with a special offer? So everybody does get a free trial of Client Hub. You can sign up at our website at clienthub.app. By the way, I didn't share pricing. I should have done that. Pricing is available on our website. I'll just show you quickly. Of course, if you can't find it, you probably shouldn't be using it, but you can go to our pricing. We do price per the firm user, not client user. So you can have 100 million clients if you want. And if there's just one person in your firm, it's either going to be at that $49 per month per user. But remember, you're getting workflow, document storage, and client collaboration all in one solution. We do also have a month-to-month option. And if you're a bigger company, of course, contact us for enterprise. But dragging back here, back to the deck, we give you 14 days free. We do have a special offer for happy hour participants. So there's, I don't know, 49 of you on the call, whatever. Sign up for a free trial. We do have kind of a sense of urgency here because we don't want people to think about it. We want you to go ahead and give it a try. Sign up for a free trial before the 23rd, which I think is a week from today. We're going to give you 50% off your first 3 months. So just go ahead, and all you have to do is go ahead to our customer support team, say you heard about us on Happy Hour, and they'll go ahead and apply that promo code to you. And then we do have a great nurture campaign as well. You're going to get email notifications within that first 14 days. So they're going to have tips, tricks, ideas. You also can go ahead and schedule time with a member of our team in those first 14 days if you need, you need some training or you just have some Q&A. So we don't just leave you high and dry. We're always going to be here to support you.
Well, I have to say the other thing that's impressive is normally whenever we hit the end of the hour, we've got a lot of people that just jump. You have definitely kept a lot of the audience here. So lots of good things that you've shared. Obviously, our viewers are interested in what you're sharing. And, I would just encourage everybody to reach out and then to also try this trial. And then to, again, if you're going to be at Scaling, go by and say hi at Scaling.
Yeah, definitely stop by and say hi to us. Even if you're not using it, just let us know that you heard about us on Happy Hour.
Yeah, this was fantastic. Thank you so much, Judy, for coming.
You're welcome. And did I stop sharing here? Did you?
Yeah, I just shared our screen.
Perfect.
I just want to wrap up a couple of slides. Thanks, everybody. I know we went over a little bit. So those of you we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Happy Hour Camp 2022 is happening at the Mountain Lake Lodge in Virginia. September 19th through the 21st. It's an intentional educator retreat. So it's going to be it is exactly that, as a retreat where we're going to have accounting educators that are in our space and developers meeting to talk about the future of our industry and what technology should look like moving forward in the accounting industry. So if you are interested in applying to attend, it is an application basis. You can do that at happyhourcamp.com. And you can learn more about it there as well. So we've already got quite a few applications, and we will be notifying on a rolling kind of admissions basis. So
I'll have to get my app in.
We can let you know if
yes, you do.
So we do have criteria, and all of that is explained in the application. So all right. Also, this is just some of the stuff that's going on at Appy Camp. I don't want to keep you guys on too much longer. But thank you so much. Make sure you visit our website, and don't forget to visit Client Hub's website. I'm going to be sending over our list of people from the poll over to Judy so she and her team can reach out to you. And we are going to have on June 14th, we're going to have Avalera join us, Stump the Expert. So looking forward
it's going to be sales tax fun. Like,
sales tax fun.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
To bring the questions. Oh my gosh. How many times have you gone, I have no idea it's sales tax.
Right.
What state are you in?
Yeah.
What are you selling? Well, super fun episode. I've enjoyed the heck out of it. And it's made my Tuesday way, way, way more fun than it was before. So thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Cheers.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Bye. Everyone.